Welcome everyone to today's live webinar, Fuel Your DTC Growth, Merchandise Planning Best Practices for Omnichannel Brands. Today's webinar is brought to you by 7th Online and Kurt Salman. My name is Ji-Pei Zhang, Director of Marketing at 7th Online. Very glad to have everybody joining today. Entering into yet another holiday season, we see intensified competition in winning shoppers' hearts and wallets online and offline. How to sharpen your assortment focus to fulfill consumer demand anywhere, anytime lies at the core of a successful omnichannel strategy. Driving growth in your direct-to-consumer channel in particular is one of the most important strategies for many branded manufacturers. What is really the business opportunity for DTC? How are leaders building winning organizations to support growth? What are the important technology considerations for selecting the right solution? All of these questions remain top of mind for many executives. That is why we're very pleased today to have retail experts from Kurt Salman and 7th Online to share their thoughts and observations on some of these questions and to help bring to life best practices for you to consider and incorporate. Joining me here today is Brian Enrique, partner at Kurt Salman, and Ben Lentini, VP of Planning Solutions at 7th Online. Brian is a partner in Kurt Salman's Retail and Consumer Products Group. His areas of expertise include business model innovation, merchandising and planning, product development, and operational strategies that enable change. Over his career, Brian has helped numerous companies across the retail and consumer goods industries operate and grow more effectively, helping them to create new customer experiences, increase capabilities, and improve organizational capabilities. He has recently specialized in helping large global brands manage the changes inherent in developing direct-to-consumer or DTC capabilities, including innovating products and services as well as retail formats, and navigating the complexities of international expansion. Brian, great to have you today.
Thank you, Ji-Pei. It's great to be here. Okay, before we get started, for the purposes of this discussion, when we refer to DTC, we're talking about selling through your own retail, online, mobile, catalog, etc., and otherwise not selling through wholesale. Now on to the presentation. Retail is going through a massive transformation, and DTC is increasingly critical to long-term success. What was once virtual is now increasingly becoming physical. Brick and mortar expansion is now a regularity for once wholesale-focused brands. Fit shops are showing up for online-only brands. And technological innovation is providing more access to information than ever before. And new capabilities such as smart mirrors, connected fitting rooms, and 3D printing seemed like science fiction just a couple years ago, are now a reality, providing new ways to service customers. With this change comes heightened consumer and market demands, and brands are seeking to take control over more of the end-to-end consumer experience. We are seeing heightened customer expectations as a result of omnichannel initiatives in the market, such as having immediate access to product information, seamless inventory visibility, loyalty recognition across channels, providing superior customer service, and so on. There is a changing marketplace resulting from innovative and brand-focused competitive offerings. There's also pressure to increase brand performance and relevance as competition and private label offerings increase the need to differentiate, more so than ever before. Consumers are also looking for a consistent experience across channels, but are very challenged by the results they're finding. Right now, the digital world is much more rich than the physical world, and the leaders are working on solving that with more a one-to-one retailing approach, connecting marketing, loyalty, purchase and browse history, and big data to unlock a more personalized way to serve them. Brands are evolving, and we see the major areas of focus around: one, expanding from wholesale to owned retail, which requires them to act more like a vertically integrated specialty retailer; two, international expansion and localization to specific markets; and three, omni-channel and digital strategies to support growth in DTC. All of these macro trends are requiring brands to invest in new capabilities to support their new areas of growth. Taking a step back and thinking about the big picture, external forces are reshaping the industry and forcing even leading brands to change. Starting with the macroeconomic environment, currency headwinds are impacting global sales and there's slow global growth overall, yet international sales remain a critical growth avenue for brands. Omni-channel market trends. We see explosive growth of online businesses growing 3 times traditional retail and transforming the customer experience along the way. On consumer dynamics, there's a need to better understand the consumer and engage them, which is a major mindset shift for brands who grew up primarily selling through wholesale. Technology has also impacted consumer choices and expectations, and it's happened faster than many brands have been able to respond. On the competitive landscape, leaders are seeking to own the end-to-end customer experience, regardless of channel, and differentiating with various speed-to-market models that enable them to capture trends and respond quickly, and are seeking multiple avenues to growth, including international expansion and DTC, requiring differentiated product assortments to support them. So how important are these growth avenues? International expansion and growing DTC are consistent growth themes with major brands. Here's an example of a slice of the luxury goods market. What you can see is brands are becoming increasingly geographically diverse, and DTC is a very important part of their revenues. In many cases, exceeding 50% of total revenues. Historically, for many of these brands, much of this revenue has come from off-price retail, but full-price retail and e-commerce are considered the linchpins of future success. Retailers tend to be ahead of the brands in building customer-centric omni-channel and DTC capabilities. We see these companies explicitly defining the role of omni-channel in their strategies and building capabilities to support them. Here are some of the examples of leading retailers that brands can learn from. Each of them has a unique focus they leverage to differentiate themselves. Whether it's Nordstrom focusing on customer experience, or Macy's focused on digital connectivity, so they enable ultimate convenience for the consumer. These capabilities all required step changes in internal capabilities and significant investments in technology in order to be enabled. I'd posit some of the reason they've been able to move faster than the brands includes, one, they have primarily been working through just 2 channels, retail and online, and 2, related to that, there was limited channel conflict when compared to historically wholesale-centric brands. For the brands, this has been a delicate situation to nurture relationships with their retail partners on the one hand, meanwhile going direct to consumer and effectively tried to take share on the other hand. This has largely not been the case for the retailers, so they were able to move fast. The good news here, though, is that brands can learn from what retailers have done and can seek to be a fast follower. Omnichannel requires a cross-functional approach and operating model to be successful. Everyone understands the customer experience engagement piece of this is critical, and that is where much of the investment has been in technology and new capabilities, and a lot of the talk in the press. What we see is that all too often, the capabilities underlying the experience requirements are really underdeveloped. This means developing or transforming ordering and fulfillment models, endless aisle product visibility, integrated planning and inventory management across channels, and a technology infrastructure that is both integrated to support the omni-channel customer engagement strategy and agile enough to recognize the landscape will continue to evolve. Now we'll talk about the evolution path we're seeing. Brands are going through an evolution from developing functional capabilities and a focus on optimizing supply to now being confronted by a much more complex vertical operating model requiring alignment of end-to-end processes and a focus on both customers and consumers. This is a fairly consistent story on the journey to elevating DTC and becoming a truly omni-channel company. We usually see it start off with DTC or retail being treated as if it were just another wholesale account, And for those of you on the phone, you can raise your hand now if this is exactly where you are at. We see this all too common even still. As it begins to grow and become more important, it begins to get more resources to support planning and managing the business. Over time, the needs of the DTC business begin to stretch the capabilities of the processes and systems that were put in place to support wholesale. An example we see often is forcing your own retail stores onto the same product development calendar as your wholesale customers, effectively adding 2 to 3 months of unnecessary lead time into the process. Leaders are developing different speed models to support their own retail and e-commerce product strategies, and this takes a very effective planning and management skill set and tools to provide direction around this. This is a critical point on the journey for brands to figure out. How can they get all the functions responsible for planning and managing the business in coordination and synchronized so each piece of the omnichannel business can best support their respective go-to-market and customer experience needs? Now we'll bring this back to the way we all plan and manage our business with this, I'll call it, oversimplified end-to-end seasonal planning model. The way this plays out is that as you break down your plans from strategy to seasonal development, the existing constructs face roadblocks to achieving success. The red boxes on the page are meant to illustrate where we see many brands with breakdowns in their operating models. Many brands are still operating with a wholesale bias in terms of process and technology capabilities. This limitation can impair the ability to grow the DTC business or at least make it difficult to reach its full potential. The leaders are collapsing these channel silos, in some cases just creating the integration points, and in other cases completely blowing up the operating model and designing a complete omni-channel construct. Either way, an omni-channel planning approach typically includes centralized planning with a strong analytical focus, inputs from regions, especially for wholesale, but also from DTC for regional consumer trending information, consumer feedback from retail and e-com, who are the ones that are closest to the consumer, structured KPI-driven communication, and tie in back to the strategic and financial plans, rethinking the key integration points on the go-to-market calendar. This is a particular challenge. There are several critical connection points as the product line is being developed that can make or break these plans. Enhanced skills to manage and utilize all inputs is also a key consideration. And improve planning systems and tools to gather input from multiple sources to create and communicate consensus plans and facilitate the overall process. This is an area that is a key challenge for brands today, and this is one where 7th Online is really relevant in helping to solve for this. And now I'll turn it over to Ben Lentini for further discussion.
Great, thank you very much, Brian. Now let's hear from Ben Lentini, a former retail merchandise planning executive. Ben is the Vice President of Planning Solutions at 7th Online. Ben has over 20 years of experience in retail, technology, and consulting at global companies including Levi's and Arthur Andersen. At 7th Online, Ben heads up R&D, implementation, and client services. Now over to you, Ben.
Thank you, Jipe. As Brian just demonstrated, propelling DTC growth requires organizational realignment and process innovation, especially when the organization has a strong heritage and foundation in wholesale. Having the right technology support for demand planning is another important aspect for generating sustainable business results in the long run. Working with apparel, footwear, and accessories retailers today around the globe, we see many of them increase their investment in modern planning allocation technology to support direct-to-consumer channel growth. Moreover, the leaders, especially the ones who have strong presence both in direct as well as wholesale channels, begin to rethink demand planning in a holistic fashion that goes well beyond achieving excellence in a single channel. For them, omni-channel retail success cannot be achieved without ensuring that consumer demand can be effectively fulfilled anywhere, anytime. gaining global demand visibility across retail and e-commerce as well as the wholesale channel is simply the first step towards a more proactive supply chain. With that in mind, I'd like to share with you today thoughts and observations on selecting the right technology and ensuring a successful implementation. I hope some of the learning here from working with numerous leading retailers can offer food for thought in turning your vision into reality. So let's begin with the first topic. As sales numbers for the most recent Black Friday continue to roll in, retailing, especially online selling here in the U.S., continues to present strong opportunities. Fashion apparel, footwear, and accessories, or AFA in short, remain the highest percentage of online sales according to the Internet Retailer. Different from other retail segments where product categories are more stable and product life cycles longer, fashion apparel footwear companies continue to be at the forefront of ever-evolving product offerings and broadening of assortments. To best support your brand's assortment strategy and capitalize on selling opportunities online and in stores, it is therefore critical to select planning solutions that handle flexible planning structures, ever-changing product hierarchies, as well as multiple versions of the same plan that can be reconciled into a single approved budget. Legacy solutions or traditional planning systems are often limited in this regard, offering only fixed planning levels. Another common limitation with a spreadsheet-driven planning environment or legacy solution is that the various plans, budgets, and forecasts along the planning cycle are often disjointed. The challenge is not a lack of available data, but rather not having a systematic way to conduct planning and analysis. Selecting a system with a single, integrated, and seamless architecture for all retail and e-commerce planning and execution requirements will help you accomplish your goals more easily and with greater success across multiple channels. For your direct-to-consumer needs, modern systems offer integrated capabilities and single data source structures to provide linked numbers throughout your merchandise planning, assortment planning, open-to-buy, and allocation processes. For teams that plan for stores and e-commerce under the DTC umbrella, such an integrated planning system can provide demand visibility into web and non-web channels alike. Such capability is critical today as many businesses are rethinking how best to position stores and tailor their assortments in light of their strong online demand. Moreover, if your brand has a heritage in wholesale and still operates significant wholesale business, selecting a platform where retail and wholesale planning can be supported by integrated processes and a single data source architecture can provide added advantages for companies to achieve the much-needed global demand visibility. This also brings us to this next critical consideration for a system to support cross-channel planning and execution. Some of you in the audience today also operate a wholesale business in addition to brick and mortar and online stores. We work with many such multi-channel brands, and the leaders in this arena are beginning to think about demand in a global sense, beyond just stores, e-commerce, or wholesale as individual channels. As the race to deliver seamless brand experience intensifies, fulfilling the promise of today's omni-channel retailing points to a retailer's ability to plan and execute on consumer demand anywhere, anytime. The consideration here is that the planning system must have the ability to separate and combine the channel-specific plans and purchases, forecasting the appropriate levels of merchandise reserve for each channel, while the allocation system must be able to easily access merchandise from one channel to fulfill demand from another channel. Plans must have the ability to be updated on demand with visibility to actual performance. Software systems must be able to allow users to compare multiple forecasts of the same product from all channels across the time horizon in order to ensure that the right demand will be sent to the supply planning team. From our experience, we have seen a lot of success in companies integrating planning for retail, e-commerce, and wholesale by investing in systems that offer native capabilities for all channels. And we have also seen failures in the marketplace where a retail system is chosen to support wholesale processes. Although much is in common, retail and wholesale planning follow different processes and require different kinds of analysis and KPIs. It is therefore important to ensure that your system of choice can fully support these needs. To best enable your planning teams, another critical system consideration is to empower them with actionable analysis and data insights, ideally embedded within the planning system instead of requiring additional forecasting or reporting applications. In most companies, powerful and sophisticated BI tools are available, but because they often require advanced database knowledge, the use of it is limited to the IT department. Business teams then often need to heavily rely on IT to get data insights. Putting the power of reporting and analysis into the hands of the actual users, therefore, turns out to be a powerful way to get users engaged with a new planning and allocation system. We have seen great user success with a planning system that comes with embedded forecasting and reporting, capabilities designed for the business users. Moreover, we have also seen departments such as finance and supply planning begin to access and run reports in addition to the merchandise planning team in order to get the most up-to-date demand information. This becomes a win-win for everybody. The users get information at their fingertips. IT is now relieved of heavy reporting requests and can focus on other strategic initiatives. And the additional departments have visibility to demand information earlier in the planning timeline. For many companies today, enterprise legacy solutions are one of the biggest challenges to accomplishing greater growth in retail or wholesale channels. Most were invented 15 years ago, and they were meant to just reside inside the company and are also very siloed. As a result, the next key consideration for selecting a modern system is a robust cloud solution that allows people to get on and get off with tremendous flexibility, and a network approach that allows multiple divisions to be agile in their interactions. Investing in a platform-based technology that can optimize costs and profits across the entire global chain is essential for long-term success. Finding the right software partner or partners is key in executing this strategy. One important consideration for productive long-term technology partnerships is to evaluate and select software partners that have the vision and resources to grow and adapt to today's ever-changing consumer landscape in your particular retail vertical. Demand planning and execution for fashion apparel, footwear, and accessories, for example, differs greatly from stable, long life cycle product-oriented retail. Being able to adapt and grow with technology partners that can bring forth industry best practices provides a critical advantage for long-term success. Many of you might be wondering at this point, all that's been said sounds great in modernizing planning for direct-to-consumer expansion. But how do you turn all that into reality? What are the do's and don'ts when it comes to implementing a modern planning and allocation system? So let me use the rest of this time to share with you a few things we have seen that help lead to implementation success. A planning and allocation initiative for your fast-growing DTC operations can be complex because the retail organization is complex. So the question is, should you take a big bite and try to go for a big bang type of implementation? Or are you better off to do it in a phased approach? If so, what kind of sequence is recommended? While the phased approach may take longer as far as timeline than a big bang approach, it leads to a quicker adoption rate as new areas and associates can see the benefits the already implemented areas are receiving. We have seen repeatedly A carefully mapped out phased implementation is a way to generate quick wins, deliver rapid time for value, and serve as a solid foundation for sustained results. So where to begin first? Of course, the answer to that will largely depend upon the retailer and their immediate pain points. In an ideal situation, we recommend working from the beginning of your planning cycle. For 7th Online direct-to-consumer suite users, that means merchandise financial planning, open to buy, assortment planning, and then allocation. The reason for this is that we believe planning trumps execution. Execution works well once a solid plan is in place. So once you have a solid plan that has been optimized for your store demand, the allocation system will then ensure the execution is seamless and that any additional profit opportunities during the selling season are captured and realized. Another approach could be to utilize open to buy as an opportunity to generate a quick win. Going live with OTB first gives the users an immediate opportunity to plan, track, and react to in-season trends aided by intelligent tools such as forecasting and reporting. Instead of spending days to compile data for OTB analysis, a modern planning system can automatically update the OTB every week or daily if desired with the latest POS data. Without wasting any precious time, the team can immediately start analyzing their business and make important markdown or reorder decisions. Starting with OTB gives the team immediate utility, not to mention that OTB will serve as the foundation for the next season's merchandise plan. This increases the adoption of the merchandise plan, and after the MP and OTB are in place, assortment planning becomes the next logical step. For global brands that operate corporately owned stores, e-commerce sites, as well as wholesale, the chances for a quick win become a little trickier. Many multi-channel retailers currently have separate planning teams and sometimes use different tools to support their own processes and needs. As I discussed earlier, taking advantage of an integrated platform to achieve demand visibility across retail, web, and wholesale provides key business advantages for omni-channel strategies. For companies that strive to eventually achieve global demand visibility across all channels, they can begin with corporate merchandise planning, then bring on board wholesale account planning and direct-to-consumer channels. Oftentimes, such a multi-channel company also carries multiple internal brands that distribute via all the channels. And it is also important to map out a sequence for the brands or channels to go live with a comprehensive demand planning application. As always, the key here is to keep it simple. Even for complex organizations with multiple channels, it is about starting from the right piece, generate wins for the users and management, then move by phases to upgrade the rest of each channel's capabilities. At 7th Online, we support retail, e-commerce, and wholesale planning with solutions tailored to their unique processes and metrics. And we work with the clients to devise the best phased implementation strategy to align with their resources and strategic priorities. So, after you figure out the overall phased approach that best fits your organization, how well the application supports a client's actual business processes becomes key. That is why a deep discovery is absolutely critical at the beginning of any implementation. Some clients have perfected a set of processes in a legacy system environment and would like the new application to support that and provide the ability to scale. While other clients want to use the opportunity of implementing a new system to revamp their existing process. And it is then critical to understand what is the desired to-be process. Discussions of industry best practices can be of great value during this stage to help a client benchmark and rethink their existing practices and uncover new perspectives. Clearly defining and documenting the existing and to-be processes serves as the cornerstone of a successful systems implementation. In any of our planning implementations, we normally reserve between 35 to 45% for the discovery and blueprint phase. Getting commitment and alignment from senior management and users early in the implementation is a top critical success factor. Having the proper expectations set will increase your chances of user adoption. The discovery phase helps to determine the following. Who should be performing each step outlined in the new best-of-breed process? What KPIs should be used to create, evaluate, and revise the plans? When should each step in the process be performed? Where are each of the KPIs needed to plan stored? And how to transmit these KPIs to the new planning system? The last two statements are handled through the integration phase of the implementation. A planning and allocation system typically integrates with a customer's ERP and/or PLM system. After initial discovery, the next step is to map out the system touchpoints and uncover needs for configurations and any necessary potential enhancements. Having a great process means nothing without the necessary KPIs to analyze. We have seen that determining the right KPIs and then creating an automated, integrated process of transmitting these KPIs is a key part of the implementation process. Many delays within an implementation are caused by key pieces of information needed to plan, but not residing in a place where it can be easily integrated with a planning system. Understanding this early in the discovery process allows for more time to determine potential short-term alternatives while the long-term solution gets scoped out. Finally, the implementation is not successful if the user adoption is low. Here, many things may be at play. It could be process system alignments, data integrity, training quality, you name it. For the application, however, its design and technology has a direct impact. For a planning and application system, we have seen that the flexibility of the application is vital to many users. Does the tool dictate a fixed hierarchy, or does it allow a flexible hierarchy? Does it allow clients to rename their attributes to their common corporate nomenclature? What does the user interface look like? Or will it be an easy migration from their current tools? These are the key questions to ask any software provider when evaluating a new system implementation. Just like many of you in the audience, I had been a planner for many years, and the countless days and nights spent with spreadsheets do not seem to be distant memory to me. Although we are collectively marching into a brave new world filled with touch screens and motion-sensitive types of advanced interfaces, on the job as a planner, buyer, or allocator managing hundreds and thousands of SKUs, millions and billions of dollars of business, many still feel the most at home when looking at an Excel spreadsheet. Back in the late 90s, I still remember how hard it was to move my planning and buying team from Excel to JDA planning, even though we all knew it was the right thing to do to grow the business at that time. To facilitate this, an Excel-like interface combined with a powerful analytical and automation engine proves to be a winning combination for a planning and allocation team to quickly adopt. Instead of learning a whole new interface while navigating a brand new tool, users feel at ease with the look and feel of Excel while discovering the power of a statistical and analytical engine in the back end that brings speed, visibility, efficiency, and intelligence to everyday work. Success in bringing on a new planning and allocation system can often provide critical demand insight to help guide other departments such as design, production, finance, supply chain, etc. With the early demand visibility gained through a planning system, for example, there can be a direct link and a data feed into the PLM system. The information sent to a PLM system can be used by many areas within the company, especially the design team. Having a quantitative indication as to the direction of the line can help align the designer's efforts with buying to reduce risks and wastes for the production team. This slide that's coming up, this slide right here, demonstrates a generic process where such internal visibility can drive efficiency and accuracy for planning, design, and finance. Breaking down the corporate strategic direction into a top-down merchandise plan and then sending that merchandise plan to a PLM system can allow the designers to create a CAP, or conceptual assortment plan. This CAP will serve as the basis for the line direction and ultimately should lead to more streamlined prototype and sample production. As the buyers create their initial assortments, many times using prototypes as real styles may not have been adopted yet. Any changes to the line will be automatically communicated to the buyers. This allows the buyers to be working with the most current data in regards to costing, colors, and added or dropped styles. Similarly, the finance department can now easily access the merchandise plan information to have visibility and control over the company's inventory investments. A company's head of finance used to struggle to understand the requests for funds to invest in inventory. He wanted to understand how the numbers added up. What was the reason behind the requests for such investments, etc. With merchandise planning information often scattered in a legacy system or a spreadsheet-based environment, there was very low visibility for this head of finance to understand what the true buy really was. With a new planning platform in place with robust reporting capabilities, this head of finance can now feel comfortable because they can run reports during the entire planning cycle to understand the demand and the changes that the merchandise team is planning for. Similarly, the demand visibility benefits supply chain, logistics, and other departments to be more agile and flexible in the face of changing demand. With data integration with other systems such as ERPs and PLMs, a planning platform becomes a demand visibility center that can benefit many mission-critical departments outside of planning. This is a win for the entire organization. Empowering your demand planning and allocation team with modern technology and processes informed by industry best practices is critical to long-term success. With consumers demanding seamless experience and demand fulfillment, thinking strategically and holistically about DTC as part of your global demand presents the next big business opportunity. With experienced implementation teams with industry knowledge, modern planning and allocation systems can generate quick wins for the planning organization, as well as the business as a whole. With all of that, I thank you all for your attention. I also wish you the best of luck in your decisions to invest in and implement a planning and allocation system to help you fuel business growth in the DTC channel and beyond.